Yesterday in Game 1 in the 6th inning, with the score tied 3-3 between Baltimore and Cincinnati, the Reds had one out. Bernie Carbo at third, Tommy Helms at first, and at the bat, pinch hitter Ty Klein. And this play now has been discussed, talked about, will be for years to come. First of all, watch the catcher, Ellie Hendricks, on a chopped ball in front of the plate. He'll go to his right. The umpire, Burkhart, has to go to his left with one object in mind: call the play fair or foul. Now, on the left side of your screen, the base runner, Carbo's coming in. His path is blocked by the umpire. The umpire signaled a fair ball. Here's the tag made by the catcher's mitt only. Look at the white ball with the background of the umpire's blue uniform, and his back is to the play. He cannot see it. Now, the next facet of this play, the base runner misses home plate. So he's never tagged. He has never touched the plate. The umpire, Burkhart, had his back to the plate, and now the umpire rages. And now the base runner, Carbo, will accidentally touch home plate for the first time as he steps on it. We're going to take a look at this play from a different angle, from the third base runner, Carbo, coming in. Ken Burkhart today said if he had it to do over again, he would have been in a better position. But he had one object in mind: call the ball fair or foul. Carbo has to get out of the way of the umpire. The tag is put on him once again, showing you that Hendricks touched him only with a catcher's mitt and not the ball, and that Carbo missed the plate with both feet. The Cincinnati Reds say it cost them the ball game. They admit it was an unusual play because the umpire, Burkhart, didn't think the runner would be coming in from third, and he was straddling the third base foul line. But as Sparky Anderson, the Cincinnati manager, said, that play didn't beat us. The Baltimore Orioles did. Of course, we've had the good fortune to be able to dissect it in slow motion, frame by frame, something the home plate umpire couldn't do yesterday. That happened yesterday in Game 1 of the World Series. Today, NBC Sports presents Game 2 of the 1970 World Series. The American League champions, the Baltimore Orioles, versus the National League champions, the Cincinnati Reds. An overcast day in Cincinnati, a 20% chance of rain. However, the clouds are dissipating somewhat, and we still may see the sunshine before this day is over. Temperature in the mid-60s. Hi, everybody. I'm Kurt Gowdy of NBC Sports. This is Jim McIntyre, the voice of the Cincinnati Reds, and roaming the stands again of NBC will be our partner, Tony Kubek. Well, the Orioles won the opening game of last year's World Series. They won that one at home, though. This is different. They won on the road. And they've now become the favorites to win this series. And if they win today, then the Cincinnati Reds will be up against it. They'll have to go to Baltimore for games 3, 4, and 5 and play in the Orioles ballpark. It was a close, exciting contest yesterday. The series has been rated just about dead even, and yesterday's game proved these two teams are really evenly matched. Let's take a look at today's starting pitchers. On your left, the starter for Baltimore, a 24-game winner, Mike Cuellar, who likes to pitch in hot weather. It's not hot here today. And on your right, a right-hander, Jim McLaughlin, a 14-game winner who was plagued with injuries over the last part of the season. Cuellar for Baltimore, McLaughlin for Cincinnati, today's starting pitchers. Now let's get the observations from the voice of the Cincinnati Reds, Mr. Jim McIntyre. Jim?
Thank you very much, Kurt. Yesterday for the Baltimore Orioles, the offensive star and the defensive star had to be third baseman Brooks Robinson. Leading off the sixth inning for the Cincinnati Reds was first baseman Lee May, who had earlier hit a home run and a single. And look at the play Robinson makes on this hard smash to third base. Deep behind the bag, crossing the foul line, a backhanded stop, up and throwing in one motion, off balance. He still got enough on the throw to get it to Boog Powell on one bounce and get Lee May on a very close play. Then in the very next inning, the Baltimore seventh, Brooks hit a long drive to deep left field. The ball does carry extremely well down the foul lines here at Riverfront Stadium. Bernie Carbo, back as far as he could go to the warning track, following the ball. He jumps as high as he can jump, but to no avail. The ball was over the fence, a home run, and the Orioles won it 4-3. Now let's go to Tony Kubek downstairs.
With me down here in the stands, Casey Stengel. And Casey, we've had all kinds of opinions at that play at home plate. How did you see it?
Well, I sit up here, and I'm back at home plate. I saw the man run in from third base. There's a play a man on first and third. If there'd been 3 men on, naturally the man had touched home plate and thrown to first base. So therefore, they had a double play. This way here, the umpire, how could you be back at the plate on a quick play that the catcher catches the ball with what you were in the way? I imagine when the man run in, the umpire's in his way. Now, he didn't go over to the bench like the rules say. Every rule now used to be if you go over to the bench, you can't come back to home plate. But it's like taking a pitcher out. Now, if you're a pitcher, they give you can't go out the third time. Only twice. But if you only go 25 feet when you slide by the plate, you haven't gone into the bench. Why the man didn't touch him coming back? 3 of them made a mistake, and I can't blame any one of them with anything. But I'm not close enough to judge it, but all 3 of them must have missed the play.
We got 2 pretty good teams playing in this World Series.
Yes, sir. There's 2. You're down to the best of it on this year. Cincinnati's amazing. The manager was terrific. He's a minor league manager, and he did a wonderful job. And I'll have to say that when you go to the Baltimore club, he's been great, too, in the last 3 or 4 years. Their manager. The ball players are terrific on both sides. They can hit the ball. Yesterday it showed you 11 hits, 2 good pitchers pitching, and they got 5 home runs.
Casey, excuse me. I have to throw this upstairs to our translators. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Let's go upstairs.
That's it.
Okay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Riverfront Stadium for the second game of the 1970 World Series between the Baltimore Orioles and the Cincinnati Reds. Here are the official lineups. First, the Baltimore Orioles. Here is the manager of the Orioles, number 4, Earl Weaver. Batting first and playing left field, number 9, Don Buford. Batting second and playing center field, number 6, Paul Blair. Batting third and playing first base, number 26, Booth Powell. Batting fourth and playing right field, number 20, Frank Robinson.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue with our coverage of the second game of the 1970 World Series, we have a special report from the CBC newsroom. For the latest on the kidnapping of Quebec Labor Minister Pierre Laporte and British diplomat James Cross, we go to the CBC newsroom in Montreal and reporter Peter Daniel. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that our reporter in Montreal, Peter Daniel, is saying some very important things. Unfortunately, due to a line trouble somewhere between Montreal and Toronto, we are unable to get the audio portion of his report, which is in fact the most important portion. As soon as we clear up the difficulty, we will get Mr. Daniel to give us another report. Meanwhile, we continue with our coverage of this second World Series game.
And playing first base, number 23, Lee May. Batting sixth and playing left field, number 11, Hal McRae. Batting seventh and playing second base, number 19, Tommy Helms. Batting eighth and playing shortstop, number 6, Woody Woodward. Batting ninth and pitching in the bullpen, number 31, Jim McLaughlin. And here are the remaining players and coaches of the Cincinnati Reds. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand for our national anthem, which will be played by the University of Cincinnati Marching Band and will be sung by Mr. Tony Martin.
Can you see by the dawn's What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the
The second game of the 1970 World Series is being brought to you from Riverfront Stadium as the Baltimore Orioles meet the Cincinnati Reds. They were heavily booed as they showed up. You heard in the background at the conclusion of the national anthem. An unhappy gang here in Cincinnati over yesterday's call at home plate. The honor of throwing out the first ball to Warren Giles. 50 years in baseball, 18 years as president of the National League until he retired. His job taken by Chub Feeney, and he's throwing the ball out to Johnny Bench, the Reds catcher. Mr. Giles used to be a general manager right here of the Cincinnati Red Leg team. So he's Cincinnati and National League all the way. In just a moment, the Reds will be taking the field, and we'll set them up defensively for you. The temperature right now, 61 degrees. Ken Burkhardt, as he walks down the right field line, is getting it from some of the stands down that way. There are the Reds on the field. 61 degrees, no breeze right now, a 20% chance of rain. And to set up the Reds defensively for you and to call the play-by-play on the first half of this game, the outstanding voice of the Cincinnati Reds baseball team, Mr. Jim McIntyre.
Thank you very much, Kurt. Here are the Reds defensively. At first base, Lee May. At second base, Tommy Helms. The shortstop is Woody Woodward. At third base, Tony Perez. In left field today, Al McRae, a rookie. Bobby Tolan in center field. Pete Rose, the captain in right. Behind the plate, Johnny Bench. And on the mound, right-hander Jim McLaughlin, who won 14 and lost 10 with a .358 earned run average. Among his victories were 3 shutouts. He led the Red staff in that department. And he is most effective with the low fastball. I think a tip-off on how effective McLaughlin will be in today's game might come early. If the batters are hitting the ball on the ground to the infield, McLaughlin might be around for a while. If the ball is up, he tends to get into trouble. There's a good look at McLaughlin in slow motion. Get an idea of his delivery. He is about what you'd call a 3/4 arm pitcher. You might notice some seats in the background that are not occupied. Here's a good look at the umpires and where they're stationed today. The seats in right field are for football, and they are not so for baseball. That's why they are unoccupied today. Plate umpire, there's Ken Burkhardt down the right field line, the umpire who was involved in the controversial play at the plate yesterday. He's watching the right field line as Buford, Don Buford, steps in to lead off for Baltimore. Buford, batting left, switch hitter. Checks the swing, and the pitch is inside, ball 1. Don was 1 for 4 in yesterday's opener, a single. Not very big, has good speed. 2 balls, no strikes. McLaughlin, 6'1", 185, native California. That's Buford's batting average on the year. Ball 3 is a little low, says the plate ump. 3-0. McLaughlin questions the call. McLaughlin lives in Fountain Valley, California, was born in Los Angeles. 3-1, 3 balls, 1 strike. Jim started 34 games for the Reds this year, had 5 complete games. 3-1 as Buford gets...
Ladies and gentlemen, it now appears that we are ready for that report from Montreal on the latest on the kidnappings of Quebec Labor Minister Pierre Laporte and British diplomat James Cross. And so we go to our Montreal newsroom and Peter Daniel.
There has been a new communique in the Pierre Laporte kidnap case. It's just been received by radio station CKAC in Montreal. Enclosed with it, a letter purportedly in the handwriting of the victim, Mr. Laporte. There's no word as yet as to what this latest communique contains. However, the kidnappers of Mr. Laporte announced in their first communique received at mid-morning that the second one would contain information on the technicalities involved in fulfilling the 7 ransom demands. These ransom demands going back to the beginning of the week and the kidnapping of British diplomat James Cross. There's been no word on the whereabouts or the condition of Mr. Cross since late Friday. The Quebec cabinet is meeting in Montreal. They are meeting on the Pierre Laporte kidnap case, and it's expected with a deadline set of 10 o'clock tonight by the kidnappers of Mr. Laporte. There will be some kind of statement before the end of the afternoon from Quebec Premier Robert Bourassa. I'm Peter Daniel, CBC News, Montreal.
This has been a special report from the CBC television newsroom. Now back to the World Series.
Foul back. Count remains 2 strikes. McLaughlin was obtained by the Cincinnati Reds this year in a trade with the California Angels. They got Vern Geisert and Pedro Bourbon, a couple of relief pitchers, along with McLaughlin, in exchange for Alex Johnson and Chico Ruiz. And, of course, Alex won the American League Batting Championship. Buford back standing. Blair hit 3 home runs in 1 game this year for the Orioles. Breaking pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Blair hit those homers against the White Sox on April 29th. Buford, the runner. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out. The only other players ever to hit 3 home runs in a game for the Orioles were Boog Powell, who did it 3 times in 1963, 64, and 66, and Kirk Blefary, who did it in 1967. And Blair hit 3 this year. Could be a double play. Easy double play. Boy, this is tailor-made all the way. Hit sharply right to Woodward. Tommy Howell's one of the best in the business on the pivot. Had all the time in the world to make that one. That's what an infield prays for, a ball hit like that. And on this artificial turf, of course, the ball gets to the infielder a lot quicker than it does on grass. Here's Boog Powell. Did Cincinnati shift much like they're doing on Powell this year, Jim? Yes, on Hank Aaron particularly, and William Covey. Breaking pitch, ball 1. This game is authorized under television rights granted by Major League Baseball solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, description, and accounts of the game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. Any commercial or other use of the program, such as charging admission for its showing, is similarly prohibited unless authorized in writing by Major League Baseball. A ball, a strike to Boog Powell, 2 out, none on, first inning, no score. There's the shift with Helms at short right. He checked his swing in time. 2 balls, a strike.
Some of the fans may not have seen yesterday's game. Powell hit his home run to left field. He has good power to the opposite field.
And he says he likes that ball out away from him. He likes to go with the pitch. 2-1. Missed with it, 3-1. Jim McLaughlin last pitched a complete game on the 14th of June at Philadelphia. He's made 20 incomplete starts since that time. 3-1. Strike 2, 3-2. On deck, Frank Robinson. 3-2 to the Oriole first baseman. Ball 4, he walked him. So the Orioles, with 2 out, get Powell at first and bring up Frank Robinson, who spent 10 years in a Cincinnati Reds uniform. Tried desperately yesterday, and I think was a little bit disappointed that he didn't come up with a hit. The Reds got him 4 times. There's his season average, 306 with 25 home runs. He was the Rookie of the Year for the Cincinnati Reds back in the early 60s. Curve down and away. 1 ball, no strikes. McLaughlin, of course, coming over from the American League, has a 5-5 lifetime record against the Orioles. That's Brooks Robinson, yesterday's hero, on deck. 2 balls, no strikes.
Robinson's done something no other player's ever done. Most valuable player in both the National League and the American League. And the 2 uniforms on the field, the uniforms he wore.
That's right. He just about did it all in 1966. 2-0. Foul back. Boog Powell at first base, not a threat to steal. Robinson. Deep down the right field line, but foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out.
Jim, it's interesting to note, maybe it's the artificial turf, but Tommy Helms, when Boog Powell was up, played out in shallow right field. And look at Woody Woodward, the shortstop, is back deep. That's Helms, but we'll go over to Woodward at short. And look how deep he is for Frank Robinson.
Well, on this artificial turf, that ball gets to you quickly. You can afford to play a little deeper. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. No score, first inning. Strike 3 called, and the Orioles are out. No runs, a hit, and a man left on. And after a half inning, it's Baltimore nothing, and the Reds coming to bat. Here's the way the Orioles stack up on defense. At first base, Boog Powell. At second base, Davy Johnson. Mark Belanger is the shortstop. Brooks Robinson at third base. Don Buford in left field. Paul Blair in center. Frank Robinson right field. Ellie Hendricks behind the plate. And left-hander Mike Cuellar on the mound. He was the great screwball, and Pete Rose leads it off, batting right. Rose, a switch hitter, this year batted .319 hitting right-handed and .307 hitting left-handed. One of the most consistent switch hitters in baseball. That looked like a screwball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pete at .316 with 15 homers, has good power, better power right-handed than he does left-handed. Belanger off his leg. Rose puts on the brakes as Blair plays it back in, and the official scorer will have to rule on that one.
Belanger has outstanding range and usually a very sure pair of hands. He's over there for the ball, even though he has to go quite a ways to his left. Ball came up and looked like it hit in the heel of his glove and bounced out.
And they have charged Belanger with an error. So the Reds got a runner with none out, and Bobby Tolan steps up. Bobby had one hit yesterday, was 1 for 4. And Light Rose batted .316 on the year. Ball one outside. Tolan is a very fine bunter, the best on the Reds club. Adept at dragging the ball or laying it down. And he also hits left-handers extremely well. 2 balls, no strikes. Crowd getting a little excited. They want to see the Reds bounce back and even up the series. Big cut, good fastball. Bobby hits left-handers just about as well, perhaps better than he does right-handers. In fact, this year he hit .335 against Southpaw. Yes, he bunted at it. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That's unusual for a young player.
Yes, it is. After the Reds obtained him from the Cardinals for the last couple of years, he's had a chance to play regularly, and he's blossomed into quite a ball player. 2-2. Slow roller. Robinson. Yes, at second base. Rose did his best to take Davy Johnson out on the plate. The ball was hit slowly. There was no chance for a double play. And the play at second was close. So the Reds have Tolan at first with 1 out, and Tony Perez stepping up. Tony was none for 3 yesterday. Great power. They play him deep left. At the middle. Tolan will stop at second. And the Reds have their first hit of the game. Here's Johnny Bench. He was quite a cover boy this year. On the cover of... Here's Johnny Bench. He was quite a cover boy this year. On the cover of several national magazines. 1 man out. Reds runners at first and second. First inning, no score. Foul back. Johnny Bench with 45 home runs, 148 runs batted in, topped the major leagues in both those departments and hit .293.
A perfect spot for Cuellar's screwball, a pitch that breaks away from a right-hander with 2 men on.
Fired him the fastball. Got it over. 0-2. Tolan is the runner at second. Perez at first. To right field, Robinson. 2 out. Tolan tags and goes to third. Runners on the corners at first and third with 2 out in the first inning. And Lee May coming to the plate. Actually, Lee May, who hit only .253 on the season, led the Reds against left-handed pitching this year with an average of .338. Last year, he had .327 against Southpaws, and in 1968 was even better, .349. It's the right-handers that give Lee the problem. 2 out, 2 on, first inning, no score. May had a homer and a single yesterday. In the gap, Clark can't get it. 1 run scores. Perez to third. He's being Buford with a relay, and going into third is Lee May with a triple.
Now watch this drive in the left center. Paul Blair tries a desperate two-stringer there. Bats the ball over Buford's head. Now Blair has trouble coming up with the ball. And in the score, of course, Tolan and Perez. So far, May has hit the ball the hardest of the Red players in these first two games. Look at this swing, right on it. Head still, good follow-through, front hip out of the way.
Rookie Hal McRae with a bunt, play at the plate. The ball getting away from Hendricks. And McRae starts for second. Now has to come back to the bag, and a throw there to Powell short of the base. And the Reds are leading 3-0.
Perfect squeeze. There's a ball dumped. The runner's coming. McRae dumps it down. Here's the backhanded sort of basketball pass. It's wide of the plate, goes up against the screen. McRae didn't make the turn. Here comes the runner on in now. This is Lee May scoring. A perfect squeeze play by Cincinnati, and they've come up with 3 runs in the first inning. McRae did not make the turn at first, or he could have gone to second. He ran hard and was just trying to get across the bag and beat it out in case the play was at first. And we're getting action now in the Baltimore bullpen.
That's Tom Phoebus warming up, a right-hander, as the Reds get to Cuellar for 3 runs in the first inning. Have 2 men out with McRae at first and Tommy Helms coming to the plate. Helms was 1 for 4 yesterday. Cuellar, first pitch. Grounded to Robinson at third. He'll go to second and get the force there and retire the side. The Reds score 3 runs with 3 hits and leave 1 man on. And at the end of the first inning, the score, Cincinnati 3, Baltimore nothing.
Blonde with the dark glasses, Mrs. Tom Phoebus. That's Mrs. Marcelina Lopez in the middle, and on the right is the starting pitcher's wife of Baltimore, Mrs. Mike Cuellar. And somebody new popped in the picture.
That's right. The coaches for the Orioles, George Stoller at first, Billy Hunter at third, as Baltimore sends Brooks Robinson to lead off. Inning number 2, 3-0 Reds. Popped up foul, out of play. Strike 1. All 3 runs the Reds scored in the first inning are unearned. There's Sparky Anderson in the Reds dugout. And he's a little happier right now. There's a ball low inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. The scoring on that first inning, Lee May is going to be credited with a double. Paul Blair is going to be charged with an error. 2 RBIs and all 3 runs unearned. Curve down and away, ball 2. So the totals on the first inning should show Baltimore with 2 errors. 1 charge to Belanger and 1 charge to Blair. Popped up, shallow right. Helms and May. And May, as Helms got behind him, wasn't quite sure.
Here's the last part. Yesterday, the Reds seemed to be a little confused on pop-ups and fly balls with 2 men going for everyone, and now wisely getting out of the way of Helms and lets the big first baseman have it, Lee May. He sort of staggered after he caught it, too.
Yes, he did. All right, here is the Orioles' fine catcher, Ellie Hendricks. He had a home run yesterday to help the Orioles to that 4-3 win. Good off-speed breaking ball. Strike call. The outfield plays Hendricks to pull, and Rose is way over in the corner and right. Pitch was low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Big gap down the left field line, as you can see, and the straightaway center field area is wide open. Rose down in the corner. Fastball was high. 2 balls, 1 strike. sharp grounder to May. Makes the play easily. And the put out. 2 out. It's Mrs. Ellie Hendricks there in the white blouse, enjoying the World Series, and I'm sure she's happy about the outcome of yesterday's game. Here's Davy Johnson. Fine, fine second baseman. Pop foul coming back our way. Short of the boot. Huey McDermott got a foul ball up here yesterday. I thought he was going to get another one. 1 strike. Strike 2. McLaughlin with good control so far. Good close-up of the freckle-faced McLaughlin. Got that one up. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Reds 3, Baltimore nothing. First half of the second inning, 2 out, none on. Loop to left, and McRae will take it on 1 bounce. Hit number 2 for the Orioles, Davy Johnson's clean single to left field. That brings up the shortstop, Mark Belanger, who hit very well the latter part of the season. And the way he came on in the last couple of months belies that .217 batting average. He was 1 for 3, as singled in yesterday's game. Good curveball. A look at Johnson at first. In the dirt, nice pickup by Johnny Bench. 1 ball, 1 strike. Johnson really is not a threat to steal. He only stole a couple of bases during the season. They played Belanger to punch the ball in the outfield. Tolan over toward right center. Pop up, back of first. May, Helms, May. And May caught it just as he crossed the foul line. And the Orioles are out in the second. No runs and a hit with a runner left on. And in the middle of the second inning, the score, the Reds 3 and the Orioles nothing. Let's go downstairs to Tony Kubek.
Frank Howard of the Washington Senators has batted against Mike Cuellar. What does he throw?
Well, Tony, basically his best pitch is a screwball, which he'll throw probably 50% of the time. He's got a great slow curveball and a better-than-average fastball, only because of his great screwball.
Frank Howard, maybe we'll talk to you a little bit later on in the ball game. Let's get back to live action right now.
Thank you, Tony.
Woody Woodward, the Red shortstop, leads off the last half of the second inning. Woody hit .223 on the year. Good fastball on the inside edge of the plate. Woody chokes up on the bat. Robinson almost even with the bag at third. Woodward will bunt. Fouled it back. 0-2. Cuellar had a bad outing. Really his last game. He went against the Minnesota Twins last Saturday. Only lasted 4 1/3 innings. Allowed 6 runs, 10 hits, but was not involved in the decision. Looping fly to center, and Blair, who plays a shallow center field, is in the right spot. Jim McLaughlin, the Reds pitcher, has a lifetime batting average in the major leagues of .116. He's had 31 hits and 267 times at bat with 1 home run. He hit that this season in Atlanta on the 19th of September off left-hander Rick Keister. Pitchers love to talk about their hitting. 1 ball, no strikes. Nothing in 2.
McLaughlin
Gives you that Huck Finn look with all those freckles, doesn't he?
Yes, he does, Kurt. He had 11 wins on the 4th of July, but only ended up with 14. Cuellar thought he had him. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Mike had a fabulous home record in Baltimore, 17-3, as you can see, 16-9 on the road. McLaughlin strikes out. Take it back. That's 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Now he strikes out. And that's the first strikeout for Cuellar. 2 out in the inning for the Reds. And here's Pete Rose, who opened the game with that shot ground ball that bounced off either Belanger's glove or wrist. And Rose later was out at second base, but the Reds went on to pick up 3 runs, all of them unearned in the first inning. Good off-speed breaking ball. It broke around the plate. Cuellar has finished strong the last 2 seasons. Great finishing kick. Another off-speed pitch, up and away. He, this year, had a 16-3 record from the 1st of July on, and last year he was 13-2 after the All-Star game. Got his fastball in close, 3-0.
He does his best pitching in July, August, early September in the hot weather. He's a Cuban. He likes to pitch in Cuban weather, as he calls it. He doesn't like cool weather.
3-0. To Robinson at third. Ball came up on him. He got it to first in time, and the Reds are down in order in the second, 0 across. So at the end of the second inning of play, the score is the Reds 3, the Orioles 0. 1970 World Series will be seen via satellite in Puerto Rico and Caracas this year. Also be seen in Taiwan, Formosa, China for the first time, and also heard in the Chinese language. The series will also be seen in these countries throughout the world, and service personnel all over the globe on land and sea will be hearing the games via American Forces Radio. The leadoff batter in the 3rd inning for Baltimore is the pitcher Mike Cuellar. Strike call.
Wasn't too long ago, Jim, the series used to be just seen east of the Mississippi, remember?
That's right. Things have spread out, haven't they? Oh, the slow curve had him way out in front. 2 strikes. Cuellar is not a good hitter for average, but every once in a while, he'll hit the long ball. Struck him out. 2 strikeouts for McLaughlin, and 1 out in the 3rd inning for Baltimore. The top of the order, Don Buford coming up now. McLaughlin really wasn't a big strikeout artist for the Reds this year. He only had 97 strikeouts in 210 innings. Buford singled to left to start the game. Was 1 for 4 yesterday. So he's 2 for 5 in this 1970 World Series. Baltimore feels that if they can go home 2 up, they'll wrap it up in their own ballpark. Outside part of the plate, 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out, none on. First half of inning number 3, 3-0. The Reds are leading. The on-deck batter, Paul Blair. Several airplanes sailing overhead. To right center, Rose. Tolan, Rose. 2 away. Those airplanes you perhaps are hearing in the background are sailing overhead, dragging along those advertisements behind them. Blair hit into a double play, a sharply hit ground ball to Woody Woodward in the 1st inning. He's up close to that plate, too, like Frank Robinson. Just missed. Ball 1. Vic Boog Powell waiting. Bouncing ball. Perez can't get it. Woodward does. It's so low. Out of the dirt by Lee May to retire the side. So the Orioles are up and down in order in the third inning. And in the middle of the third, it's Cincinnati 3 and Baltimore nothing. This is Perez now going to his left on that last out in the top of the inning. Can't quite get it. Woodward backs him up. And May made the sparkling part of this play with a pickup in the dirt. He's had a single, double, home run, 4 RBIs, and made some good plays so far.
Yes, he has, Kurt.
First pitch is low to Bobby Tolan, ball 1. They say here in Cincinnati that Bobby Tolan is one part of a big red machine that doesn't need any oiling. 2 balls, no strikes. To Tolan leading off for the Reds in the third inning. That's a pretty good finish for Bobby Tolan. Deep right. Way back and goodbye baseball. Well, he got his pitch on a 2-0 count. Cincinnati's been in a mild batting slump. They've scored only 17 runs in their last 6 games. They have 4 runs already in this game. That's right, Kurt, 4-0. And Tony Perez, who singled it up the middle into center field in the first, is at the plate now. Cuellar with a changeup. Tony hit 40 home runs during the season and batted in 129 runs. Another off-speed pitch, ball 2. It's hard to visualize Tony Perez breaking into baseball as a 6'2" and rather slender, skinny shortstop. Foul back, 2-1. Tom Phoebus is going down to the Baltimore bullpen again to start warming up. He got up in the first inning, and he's throwing again here in the third. 4-0 Reds lead. Pop foul, maybe a play. Hendricks coming over toward the Reds dugout. And yes, right at the railing in front of the photographers and our NBC camera, Hendricks takes the pop foul. Hendricks takes a look to see where he was first. Jam right up again. Concentrated that ball right into his mitt, which he had to do. Reached right over our camera down there. 1 out, Johnny Bench will be the batter. Slide to Frank Robinson in right the first time up. Got that slow curveball over. Third inning, 4-0 Cincinnati. Fastball, very high pop back of third base. Coming over toward the stands, Hendricks and Robinson reaches but cannot hold it. E for effort, no error. I asked his teammates yesterday if that was the best play they ever saw him make. The third, well, he's made so many, just one of a bunch. Yeah, you know, with that guy down there, great plays have become the rule instead of the exception. 0-2 to Bench. Cuellar might go to the screwball right here. Slow curve. Popped it down the left field line. Belanger all the way to the stand. No play. Johnny Bench from Binger, Oklahoma. The second round draft choice the Reds made in 1967. Bernie Carbo was their top pick. There's Johnny Bench's mother and his sister, sitting on just to the right of Mrs. Bench. Two balls, two strikes to Bench, one out, one run in, third inning, 4-0 Cincinnati. Cuellar. Did he go? No. Plate umpire John Flaherty of the American League said no. Full count, 3-2. Almost hit him. That's the first base on ball given up by Cuellar, who didn't walk many during the season, only 69 walks in 298 innings. And with one out, Bench is at first, and Lee May, who batted in 2 runs with that double to left center in the first inning, coming to the plate. But first, here's Earl Weaver out of the dugout, going to the mound to talk with Cuellar. And we might see Mr. Phoebus waved on from the bullpen.
He's asked for him. Cuellar wasn't sharp today, like he was in the playoffs against Minnesota. He didn't have control of his screwball. Palmer winning yesterday was important to Baltimore. That's why they switched to a right-hander to open the series. The Reds lost to only 2 left-handers all season in their home ballpark. They were beaten late in the year by Claude Osteen and Atlanta's Mike McQueen. They were murderous against left-handers all season.
The blonde lady right in the center of your picture is Mrs. Tom Phoebus, and she has to feel a little anxious right now as Lee May steps up to the plate. Sharp grounder to third. Robinson to Johnson to Powell. And it's out of it.
Brooks Robinson and Ty Trainer have been rated the 2 greatest fielding third basemen of all time. Robinson again shows his class in big games, all-star games and World Series, a diving stab to start the double play. And around the horn she goes. And Robinson's sparkling play once again gets the Orioles out of trouble.
And so at the end of the third inning here at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, the Reds 4, the Orioles nothing.
Before we return to the game, here is a special report. For the latest information on the kidnappings of Labor Minister Pierre Laporte and British diplomat James Cross, we go to the CBC newsroom in Montreal and Peter Daniels.
We have just received here in Montreal the latest communique from the kidnappers of Labor Minister Pierre Laporte and a letter in Mr. Laporte's handwriting to his wife. The kidnappers in their second communique do not again mention British diplomat James Cross. They again warn authorities that they must comply or give an answer to the 7 ransom demands, the original demands made in the Cross kidnapping, by 10 o'clock tonight, or they will not hesitate in executing Mr. Laporte. The kidnappers warn that the least hesitation from the authorities will be fatal for Mr. Laporte. This communique is unlike anything else we've ever seen. It is completely in print. There are no letterheads on it. Some of it is in capital letters. Parts of it is not. Some of the words are underlined. It is unlike anything else we have yet seen in this weird communications network that has been set up between the terrorists and the authorities through radio stations. This one came to radio station CKAC, and we're now told that a further communique will be coming any time to verify the authenticity of these documents. In the letter, Mr. Laporte says that he is in good health and passed a good night, and that his family, his wife and family, should not take this thing too hard. He thinks of all 3 of them, and that the authorities must move on the matter. He signs it simply, Pierre. I'm Peter Daniels, CBC News, Montreal.
That was a special report from the CBC Television News Department. We now return to the second game of the World Series. The score at the moment, 4-1. Baltimore is at bat. Boog Powell has just hit a home run.
Lee May tagged him as he tried to dive into the base. Robinson a little slow getting to his feet. Down on one knee, and the manager coming out, the trainer coming out. You'll see Weaver. There's Weaver, and with his back to you is the Oriole trainer, Ralph Savron. Robinson hustling to beat out that throw. Landed hard. Curtis. May has to leave the bag on this wide throw. Robinson's trying to dive under it. May tagged him on top of the back. I think he just had the wind knocked out of him. He's up on his feet now, and okay. One man out, and Brooks Robinson will be the batter now as Frank heads back for the dugout. He still has not had a hit in the series. And here's Brooks. Popped up the first time. Curve. Perez at third. Easy play. Two away. That'll bring up Ellie Hendricks. Hendricks hit a sharp ground ball to May in the second inning. Is 1 for 1 and 1 for 5 in the series. A homer yesterday. Hit 12 during the season. Dave Johnson swinging the weighted bat and his gamer. 2 balls, no strikes. McLaughlin low with a fastball. Hendricks, a picture of concentration. Missed with a fastball inside. It's 3 balls, no strikes. McLaughlin has walked 1. That was Boog Powell in the first inning. Ball 4 was low. And on 4 pitches, Hendricks goes to first. And here's Davy Johnson, who singled the left field in the second inning. The overcast skies here in Cincinnati are beginning to clear. Five straight pitches out of the strike zone by Jim McLaughlin. Perez will go short to Helms, and that retires the side. 1 run, 1 hit. A home run by Powell. 1 runner left. And in the middle of the 4th inning, it's the Reds 4 and the Orioles 1.
With me, the new manager of the Detroit Tigers, Billy Martin. Billy, you shook up that team already, and you just got there.
Well, we think the trade really helped us, Tony.
You've got some good young players, good infielders.
Yes, we have. Now we're strong in the infield, and as you know, defense makes pitching, so we got it now.
Billy, what about this Baltimore ball club? You're going to have to battle them next year to get into contention.
There's no doubt about it. They're a great ball club, Tony, and we're going to have to really do a job in order to beat them.
Cuellar wasn't very sharp today, was he? Couldn't get that screwball over. You think that the off time between starts had a lot to do with that?
It could be, Tony, and with a pitcher like that, he's got to pitch every 4 days. This could be the reason.
Billy Martin, good luck next year, and thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Let's go back upstairs.
Well, Phoebus, warming up on the mound, is making his first World Series appearance. He came in last inning, made 1 pitch to Lee May, got the double play ball, and like Pete Rickert yesterday, the Oriole relievers have come in to make 1 pitch and get out of tough situations. Tom was born in Baltimore and lives now in Kingsville, Maryland. 28 years old, 5'8", 185 pounds. Been used as a spot starter and a long relief man this year. He'll face Hal McRae. Ball 1. McRae bunted with Lee May at third base in the first inning and got an RBI on a bunt single. Over Robinson, down the line, in the corner, Buford after it. McRae will make it to second, standing up. That's the first hit off Phoebus, of course, and the fifth in the game for Cincinnati, and brings up Tommy Helms. Helms hit the first home run in this new Riverfront Stadium for the Reds in the second game they played here. He punts, good punt. They let it roll, and it goes foul, just outside the line.
Watch this bunt. Disguise it, slides up. Quickly dropped the bat, chopped it down third base way. Robinson had only one thing to do, is let it roll. Wisely foul. Lenhart now is starting to warm up again in the Baltimore bullpen, by the way.
Helms is, that's Lenhart. Helms is a great bat control artist. He's used often on hit and run. There's one to the right side, bobbled, and picked up by Johnson in time to make the play, and McRae held on at second base. He didn't try to go to third.
Helms is trying to do his job, get that man over to third by slapping it on the right side. Hit it too hard, actually.
One out, and McRae at second base. Reds batting in the fourth, leading 4-1. And here's Woody. Woody Woodward. William Woodward. He prefers Woody to Bill. Good curveball. Strike call. Woody got his master's degree at Florida State University this past winter. This is the Reds player representative. McRae leading off second. 1 ball, 1 strike. We pause briefly for station identification. The sun beginning to break through the overcast. Skies are clearing. Pitch was a little bit high. 2-1. Right center. Blair. McRae retraces his steps. 2 out. And we'll give McLaughlin a chance to help his own cause. He'll be up here with 2 out and a runner at second.
Jim, I guess Phoebus has had it all the way. He was offered a pro contract by the Washington Senators when he was just 15 years old. Turned it down, and 3 years later signed with the Orioles.
All right, here's McLaughlin. Photographer's almost got that one. Tom Phoebus appeared in relief 6 times this year and started 21 games, finished 5-5. Good close-up look at Tom. One ball, 1 strike. George Sugar on the right of Sparky Anderson, who has his arm resting on that stack of towels in the Reds dugout. One ball, 1 strike. Nice stop by Hendricks. On deck, the top of the order, Pete Rose. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Yesterday, they announced the attendance very early. But has it been announced today? I haven't heard it yet. 51,531. Again, capacity, sellout. Belanger deep with 20 on it to retire the side. No runs and 1 hit in the 4th inning for the Reds. McRae's leadoff double. 1 man left. And so at the end of 4 innings of play, the Reds 4, the Orioles 1. At least half of the 55,000 deaths on our highways last year involved problem drinkers. Many of these problem drinkers need to be helped, but first they need to be taken off the road. Sooner or later, it has to happen. Make it sooner. To find out what you can do about these dangerous drunk drivers, write to the National Safety Council, 425 North Michigan, Chicago, Illinois, 60611. Mark Belanger is to be the leadoff batter for the Baltimore Orioles, and then we're going to get a pinch hitter. Chico Simone has come up to the on-deck circle, and he'll bat for Tom Phoebus as Earl Weaver goes to the bullpen, trying to get back even. Mo Grabowski is down at, that's the on-deck batter, Chico Simone, and Grabowski, a right-hander, is in the bullpen. 1 strike to Belanger. Mark fouled out to Lee May, back of first the first time up. Pops this one up. Woody says, I have it. And he does. 1 away. Chico Simone, a right-handed batter, is coming up to hit for the Orioles, Tom Phoebus. He hit .250 this year, no home runs, had 7 runs batted in. Chico Simone. Woody can't reach it. And Simone has a pinch single, the 4th hit for the Orioles off McLaughlin. The top of the order coming up now, Don Buford. He's 1 for 2 today, a single to left to lead off the ball game. Reds are leading 4-1. This is the 5th inning. Grabowski will come on to pitch in the last half of the inning. Base hit. Rose. The runner stops at second, Simone. And the Orioles now are even in hits, 5 apiece. 2 men on, 1 man out. And that calls for a conference. The Reds are going to send Milton Wilcox to the bullpen. Young 20-year-old right-hander beginning to lob the ball. He was in the bullpen early in yesterday's game and warmed up a couple of times. Sparky Anderson thinking it over.
I think they want the sunglasses now for the left fielder, Hal McRae, as the sun has really popped through. The overcast is gone. They have a bright glare now.
See Tommy Helms coming over, too. The Cincinnati trainer, Bill Cooper, is out with the tray of glasses. And either Helms is going to relay him over to McRae, or he's going to pick up his own one.
Jim, it's interesting when you see young players come to the major leagues. They play almost all night baseball in the minors, and they sort of have to learn how to use those sunglasses, flip them down in one motion and wear them properly.
That's right. Well, they're waiting for McRae to get back in his position in left. And the Orioles send up Paul Blair with 2 men on and 1 man out, trying to come back. Down 4-1 in the 5th inning. Foul bat. McLaughlin only had 5 complete games in 33 starts during the season. Bounced that one in there. That's Chico Simone at second, and at first base, Don Buford. And Paul Blair. None for 2 today. Waiting. Good curveball. Blair was looking for something else. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Breaking pitch low, 2-2. Johnny Bench has improved tremendously this year on defense. He has learned to go to his right on those low pitches, those low outside pitches to a right-handed batter, and to keep the ball in front of him. And there's one low and away. 3-2. And McLaughlin comes to a point now where he's got to throw strikes.
The Cincinnati fans are taking a look at Boog Powell over on deck, too.
That's right. Big pitch right here. Sharply into left. That'll score some on, maybe. Here's the throw, and he scores standing up. 4-2 now. An RBI single for Blair. The 6th hit off McLaughlin. And Big Boog Powell is coming up. And Sparky Anderson must be having some deep thoughts right now. Well, he has thought enough about it to come out to the mound. Wilcox has thrown long enough in the bullpen to get his arm loose. During the season, when Sparky would walk to the mound, that indicated he wanted the reliever, and it does here. When he would run out there or jog out to the mound, it was merely to talk to the pitcher. But when he walks out, that's it. So Wilcox is going to be brought on to relieve. So there's a break in the action here at Riverfront Stadium. The score, Cincinnati 4, Baltimore 2. Let's go to Tony Kubek.
Thank you. With me, the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, Davey Bristol. But, Davey, the Cincinnati ball club you're watching today, you had a lot to do putting together. It's quite a team.
Well, it's quite a team, and there's a big place in my heart for a lot of the players. And, you know, when you spend 9 and 10 years with some of them like Tommy Helms and Lee May and Tony Perez, you've got to be pulling for them. And I'm pulling for them now, even though I'm an American League manager.
You're doing a pretty good rebuilding job right now at Milwaukee, and Tommy Harper had quite a year for you.
Well, he had a fantastic year for us, and I think with just the right trade here or there, we might get there a little bit quicker than a lot of people think we are, because we've signed some real good-looking young players, and I think you have to win on youth.
Dave Bristol, thank you, and good luck.
Thank you, Tony.
Let's go back upstairs.
Boy, what a spot to come in, Kurt. With this big guy coming up and a 20-year-old rookie on the mound who won 3 and lost 1, that's some kind of place to break into World Series action. You can see what the partisan crowd thinks about young Milt Wilcox. Born in Honolulu, lives now in Del City, Oklahoma. This is only his 3rd professional season. He was 3-1 for the Reds with a .245 earned run average in 5 appearances this year. Very impressive after he was brought up from the Cincinnati AAA Farm Club at Indianapolis, where he won 12 and lost 10 and won 7 of his last 9 starts. Breaking pitch, 1 ball, 1 strike. The Orioles have scored once in the 5th. Have Buford at second base, Blair at first, one man out, and this guy who hit it 400 and plus feet into the seats in center field the last time at bat, staring at Wilcox. Check swing on the breaking pitch. 2 balls, 1 strike. Mo Drabowski has warmed up in the Baltimore bullpen. He'll be the pitcher in the last half of the inning. That's Frank Robinson in the on-deck circle. Four to 2, tying runs, potential tying runs on base. That looked like a good change of pace. That's Buford. And now there is Blair at first. Two balls, 2 strikes. Left center. That should score Buford. Here's McRae's throw toward home. Offline, and he scores standing up. It's now 4-3 as Powell bats in a run.
Powell now has 4 runs batted in 2 days, and so does Lee May. They're the RBI leaders of this series. Watch this swing on him. Cocks that bat, he's ready, head still, right into it, a great stride. Beautiful level swing all the way. He had it when he first came up, and he's maintained it. Been one of the greatest hitters in the major league.
Well, we're down to a 1-run lead for the Reds. 4-3, and here's Frank Robinson. None for 2. A ball, high and away. That run scored by Buford, of course, is charged to starter Jim McLaughlin. The Orioles now have 7 hits. 2 balls, no strikes. Frank Robinson has not had a hit yet in the series, 0 for 6. Change up, over. Wilcox credits his success this season to a slider that was taught to him. Vern Rapp, the Indianapolis manager, taught him how to throw it. Deep right center. Rose, warning track. Yes. Blair tags at second and goes to third. 2 men out. Runners on the corner. Brooks none for 2 today. Popped up, grounded out. And a throw over to first base by Wilcox almost picked Lee May off. Into right, and the game will be tied. Scoring is Blair. Powell stops at second, and we have a 4-4 ball game. As Brooks Robinson comes through with a big hit again. 4-4. That run is also charged to McLaughlin. 2 hits off the rookie Milt Wilcox. And 8 in the game for the Orioles. Clay Carroll is going to the Cincinnati Reds bullpen as Ellie Hendricks, a left-handed batter, steps in. Fouled out of the mid of Johnny Bench. There's Carroll, who relieved in yesterday's game and pitched 2 1/3 innings. Bright sunshine prevailing now. In contrast to the overcast skies we had at the start of the game. Hendricks had a notion. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 men out, 2 men on, and 3 runs across from the 5th inning for the Orioles. Beautiful slow curveball for a strike 2 call. Only one younger pitcher on the Cincinnati staff than Wilcox, who is 20, and that's Don Gullett, who is 19. 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Powell at second. Robinson at first. Brooks Robinson. 2 men down. Four tie. Breaking pitch. 3-2. Payoff. Fair ball. Powell will score. Robinson will score. Here's the throw toward third, and holding it second with a double is Hendricks. And the Orioles take the lead 6-4. A 2-run double by Ellie Hendricks brings Anderson out of the Cincinnati dugout, and he is going to bring in a new pitcher, Clay Carroll. So the Orioles sending 7 men to the plate already in the inning. 8 men to the plate, I should say. Ellie Hendricks delivers one inside the third base line for 2 more runs. 6-4. The Orioles have jumped in front here in the 5th as Wilcox departs and Clay Carroll comes on. There's a break in the action here at Riverfront Stadium. The score, Baltimore 6 and Cincinnati 4. Here's the 9th man to bat in the inning for Baltimore. Second baseman Davy Johnson facing Clay Carroll, right-hander. Got it inside, ball 1. Clay relieved yesterday, pitched 2 1/3 innings, allowed 2 hits, struck out 4 and walked 2. Gary Nolan was the man he picked up yesterday, and today it's rookie Milt Wilcox. Check swing, bouncing ball to Helms, and the Orioles are out. They backed 9 men, scored 5 runs on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits. And now in the middle of the 5th inning, it's Baltimore 6 and the Reds 4. The Baltimore Orioles, intent on averting what happened last year against the amazing New York Mets, have a 6-4 lead in the middle of Game 2 of the 1970 World Series. The Reds will send up the top of the order Pete Rose to lead off in the last half of the 5th inning. And here for the final half of the game, NBC's Kurt Gowdy.
Thank you, Jim McIntyre. 35-year-old Mo Grabowski, won 5, lost 4. His earned run average 3.47. He put on quite a show in the 1966 World Series. Pete Rose reached in an air, grounded out, fouls it out of play. Grabowski came on in the opening game, pitched 6 2/3 innings against the Dodgers, 1 hit ball, struck out 11, a World Series record for relief pitchers. It's Mrs. Pete Rose with a high head of hair, watching her husband at bat right now. Ball hit the Powell off the bag to Grabowski, covering, and there's 1 away. And Rose is still looking for his first World Series hit. Bobby Tolan has hit into a force play and hit a home run to right. In that relief job against the Dodgers, Grabowski struck out 6 in a row in that game, tying a World Series record set by Hart Eller for the Reds in 1919. Grabowski was picked up by the new Kansas City team in the expansion draft, but the Orioles got him back again. 1 out, nobody on. 6-4 the Orioles. Ball 1. We're in the last of the 5th inning. 2 days in a row, the Orioles have been behind and have overcome a lead. Foul back, 1-1. On deck, Tony Perez. Playing Tolan toward right field. The 2-1 pitch to Bobby Tolan. Foul back. 2-2. Grabowski was born in Poland. Lives now in Highland Park. Highland Park, Illinois. He's a stockbroker in the off-season. He thinks the ball game's a little better in the stock market the last year or two. Bobby Tolan's family, his mother, his wife, son, in the front row. Watching here, foul back again out of play. One out, full count, nobody on. Up the middle, there's Dave Johnson for it. Throws out the speedy Tolan, 2 down. That'll bring up Tony Perez, a single to center in the first inning, fouled out in the third. Perez hit a dramatic homer, the All-Star game 3 years ago in the 15th inning at Anaheim, California, to give the National League a 2-1 victory. A strike to him. Two down, nobody on. Nothing in 2. Fastball, and he put it right in there to him. So Grabowski breezes through the last of the 5th, 1-2-3. And at the end of 5 innings, the score, the Baltimore Orioles 6, the Cincinnati Reds 4. McIntyre and Tony Kubek here with you from Cincinnati. Mark Belanger starts it off for the Orioles in the 6th inning. He's fouled out and popped up. The Orioles exploded for 5 runs and 6 hits in the 5th to take the lead. Bounding ball to the right side. Tommy Helms backs up for the big hop and throws him out. There's 1 down. The Oriole pitcher, Mo Grabowski, up for his first time. Playing him to the opposite field. A fire ball. He's had only 1 hit and 9 times up this year. 1-1. The top of the order, the Orioles on deck. Don Buford. On the outside corner, 1-2. Gave him a curve, 2 down. Then here's Buford. He blooped the single to left in the first, fly to right in the third, and single to right in the 5th. He has scored one of the 6 Baltimore runs. 2 away, nobody on. 6-4 Baltimore. Top of the 6th inning. Buford was a star halfback at the University of Southern California. Out of the reach of Carroll. Helms flashing across. Fine play by Tommy Helms to get him. 3 up and 3 down for the Orioles in the 6th inning. Now we've gone 5.5 innings, and there's the score. Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 4.
Tell her how. Helms ranging far over to his right for that bouncing ball hit off the bat of Don Buford, and making an off-balance throw to Lee May, pivoting and still getting something on the ball in plenty of time to get Buford, who runs pretty well.
Johnny Bench up for the Reds. Fly to right and walk. Couple of steps toward left for him in the outfield. Grabowski's curve is a strike. Lee made a follow, and then Hal McRae. Long drive. Going, gone. Bench's first World Series homer. He hit a one-strike pitch. No doubt about it when it left the bat.
Here's a good look at Johnny Bench and that powerful swing he has. They say Johnny Bench has some of the quickest hands in baseball, and he got that one out where he liked it. And from the time it left the bat, it was no doubt. Johnny back in the dugout, being congratulated.
Lee May leans back. Ball one to him. Dick Hall now has started to warm up in the Baltimore bullpen. It's 6-5. Baltimore leading. 1-1. He wanted that one. May doubled in the first to knock in 2 runs. Hit the ball hard in the third. Down to Robinson in third, who converted it into a double play. May's hit the ball hard just about every time up in his first 2 games. Bouncing foul. 1-2. Nobody on, nobody out. Bernie Carbo is loosening up his throwing arm in the Cincinnati bullpen. Hal McRae's on deck. A high fly to left center. Blair will have plenty of room. One down. Hal McRae beat out a squeeze bunt for a hit and an RBI in the first, double to left in the fourth, 2 for 2. The Reds traded their left fielder Alex Johnson to the Angels for pitcher Jim McLaughlin. The strike. And the 2 youngsters, the 2 youngsters, McRae and Carbo, had 29 home runs between them in the left field spot. Well, you have those rookies coming up every year, the way the Reds have been doing. You can make some moves. The 1-1 delivery. It's 2-1 to McRae. Grabowski pitched for the Reds back in '62. Foul back. He's been around. He's pitched for the Cubs, Houston, Milwaukee Braves, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Baltimore, Kansas City again, and then Baltimore again. Now the Reds are going to warm up their hard-throwing young left-hander, Don Gullett. Don Gullett. Hit down to Brooks Robinson in back of the bag. The throw is there. Brooks Robinson, always a modest fellow, gives a lot of his success. Here he is.
And a good look at this guy, and you can see why they call him the human vacuum cleaner down at third base. Sets his feet. Gets plenty on the throw over to Powell at first. It was a little bit low, but in plenty of time to get McRae.
Strike to Tommy Helms. I was saying that Robinson gives Boog Powell a lot of credit. He said he's a marvelous target over there at first base. Powell's a very underrated defensive first baseman. Fly ball twisting down the right field line. Foul. 2 strikes to Tommy Helms, who's hit into a forced play and grounded out. Six to 5. The Orioles ahead. Last of the 6th inning. The Reds have 2 down, nobody on. 1-2. Grabowski once hit 4 batters in a game. Tied a major league record back in '57. There's a fly ball right center. Blair on his horse. Pulls it in. Hard to get that ball over his head. 1 run, 1 hit, a leadoff homer by Johnny Bench. There were no errors and nobody left. And we've gone 6 innings with a score. Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 5. Game 3 of the World Series Tuesday afternoon. We'll be starting at 12:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Pre-game show hosted by Joe Guerrero-Giola with Sandy Koufax and Mickey Mantle. The starting pitchers Tuesday in Baltimore will be Tony Cloninger for the Reds and Dave McNally for Baltimore. Paul Blair hit into a double play, grounded a short single. Knocked in a run, he scored a run. It's the curve in the shallow right center for a base hit. That's 10 hits for the Orioles. Luke Powell's been on base every time he's walked. 400-foot homer in the 4th, nobody on. Single run in the 5th. He scored 2 runs. They're deep and toward right for him. Strike. They've been jamming Powell, trying to pitch him inside. They get behind, they have to get out over the plate on him, and that's where he's been causing the damage. He's been red hot in the playoffs and the World Series. Nubs it foul. He was the Orioles' leading hitter in the 3 games in the American League playoffs against Minnesota. He had 6 RBIs in those 3 games. 4 runs batted in the series. He's been averaging 2 runs batted in each game. 2 strikes to Powell. John Powell. Hits it to first. May goes down to second for 1. Back to May. Double play the hard way. The 2nd day in a row for Cincinnati. That's the 2nd double play turned in by the Reds infield. Frank Robinson is struck out, grounded to short, flied out to deep right center. Now 0 for 7 in these 2 games. Carroll's outside for a ball. Baltimore leading 6-5. Don Gullen in the bullpen. Slams it foul. 1 ball, 1 strike to Frank Robinson. Traded away 5 years ago, called him an old 30. He's 35 now, still a great player. Outside. Ball 2, 2-1. The on-deck batter's Brooks Robinson. Three and 1. Three and 2. Curve is foul. We pointed out yesterday, maybe some new viewers today, how Frank Robinson crowds that plate. He's been hit a lot in his career. Right on top of it. Gets it to the right side to Lee May. That's all for the Orioles. They had no runs, 1 hit, there were no errors. That's all for the Orioles. They had no runs, 1 hit, there were no errors, and nobody left. The end of 6.5 innings. It's Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 5. Posted on the Sunday sports action around the country. National Football League scores at the end of the half: Pittsburgh 10, Buffalo 3, the Redskins 17, Detroit Lions 3 at the half. Cincinnati 17, Cleveland 16 at the half. Giants 20, the Eagles 9 at the half. Minnesota 7, the Bears nothing into the first period. Atlanta and Dallas no score into the first period. St. Louis Cardinals 7, New Orleans nothing into the first period. Last night, Miami defeated the New York Jets 20-6. Ty Klein will bat for Woody Woodward. Klein, a line drive type hitter. Strike delivered by Mo Grabowski. Angel Bravo is on deck to bat for Clay Carroll. The Rangers trying to time his jump, couldn't get there. And Klein comes through again. Doing an outstanding job of pinch hitting.
Kirk, during the latter part of the season, and he was the Reds' best pinch hitter during the year, next to Jimmy Stewart, he consistently came through time and time again in the late stages of the season and in the championship series against Pittsburgh.
Angel Bravo, who hit .310 as a pinch hitter this past season, is up now. Marcelino Lopez, a left-hander, Dick Hall, a right-hander, are warming up for the Orioles. And Don Gullett will come on to pitch in the 8th inning for the Reds. Reds are down 1 run. They have Klein at first, nobody out. Last of the 7th. Keep him close. Playing Bravo shallow and a bit to the opposite field. Brooks Robinson in tight at third in case of the bunt. Bravo bluffed it. Ball 1. Powell and Robinson were both charging. Up the line. The Orioles have 10 hits. The Reds have 7 hits. 2-0 to him. Bravo led the Pacific Coast League in hitting in '69 with a .342 average. Grabowski's pitching him high, making it tougher to bunt. But he's been out of the strike zone. 2-0 to Angel Bravo. There's a bunt. It's a beauty. Powell plays it at first base to Dave Johnson, the second baseman who covered. The sacrifice moves the tying run to second. The top of the order, and Pete Rose up. And how long he has shut Pete Rose out without a hit. He's now gone 7 times without a hit.
Okay, here's a 2-time National League batting champion who has had 200 hits in 5 years. Only active player with that many 200-hit seasons. And like you said, it's tough to see how long they can shut him out at the plate.
He's had only 1 ball out of the infield in the 2 games. Ball 1 to Pete Rose. The Rose Garden. That's out in right field. A 1-0 pitch. 2-0. Ty Klein at second, 1 out. The Orioles are leading 6-5. Last of the 7th. Three and nothing. The left-handers on deck, Bobby Tolan. Right-hander and left-hander working for Baltimore. 3-1 to Rose. Ball on your left, the right-hander, and Lopez the left-hander. The Reds hit a lot 3-0 late here in the 7th inning. They had Rose taking though. 3-1. Fouls it away, and it's 3-2 to Pete Rose. Great 2 pitch on the way. He's on. They say he beats out a walk, don't they, around here? He really hustles down at first base.
Kurt, he's always done that, and he does it, he says, because he thinks that's the only thing you can do when you get a walk, is to run.
Earl Weaver has waved in his left-hander, Marcelino Lopez. And as Jim McIntyre pointed out earlier, Tolan has hit left-handers better than right-handers.
That's right, Kurt. And you have to think when the opposing manager makes this kind of move, it gives Tolan a bit of an edge.
28 years old. Bobby Tolan wrapped into a force play, hit a home run to right in the 3rd, grounded out the 2nd and the 5th. 1 out of 3. He had 368 against left-handers and 69, 335 against the mid.
We interrupt the game, ladies and gentlemen, to bring you another special report. For the latest information on the Montreal kidnappings, we go to the CBC newsroom in Montreal and reporter Frank Roach.
All that anyone can do at the moment is just watch and wait for a statement of the government's position to the latest FLQ communique. The terrorist latest note received early this afternoon was found in a bus station shelter just a few streets east of the CBC building here in Montreal.
That was a special report from CBC Television News. We go now to our baseball game. No change. Tolan still at the plate.
2-2 count. 3-2. Runners on first and second, 1 out. Baltimore leading 6-5. Finds the lead runner. Rose is at first. Runners are holding. It's popped up. Third baseman Robinson. Foul ball. Infield fly rule called. It's fair. Batter was automatically out of that with a fair ball. The runners would advance at their own risk. Here's Earl Weaver coming out now. And he wants the right-hander to pitch to Perez. Dick Hall will come on. So Lopez did his job, making Tolan pop up. And the 5th pitcher of the game comes in for the Orioles. Veteran Dick Hall, one of the best control pitchers in baseball. He throws strikes.
And one of the most peculiar deliveries I think you'll see anywhere.
Dick Hall, at the age of 40, enjoyed one of his best seasons. He won 10, lost 5, 2.95 earned run average. Exceptional control. He averaged 1 walk every 10 innings he pitched. He's in that strike zone. Perez has a single in 3 times. Flying at second, Rose at first, 2 down. Bounding ball to Brooks Robinson. The play is to Johnson for the force out on Rose at second. And Lopez and Hall did the job out of the bullpen for the Orioles. No runs for the Reds. 1 hit. There were no errors, and they left 2. At the end of 7 innings, Baltimore 6 and Cincinnati 5.
I couldn't walk a block. I could get out of the house and I could drive.
Don Chaney has gone to shortstop. Number 12, Chaney. And the new pitcher. You're looking at a fellow who may be the pitching star of the future in the major leagues. 19-year-old Don Gullett. He won 5 and lost 2 this year as a teenager. But he has the stuff to be a great one. He'll face Brooks Robinson, who's popped up, grounded out, and singled. Ground ball to shortstop Cheney. May hops on the bag, and there's one down. Well, there are no records kept, but we've had an oddity by the Baltimore relief pitchers. 3 of them have come in, thrown only 1 pitch, and got the side out in 2 days. Don Gullett, born, still lives at Lynn, Kentucky, went to McKell High School there. An outstanding high school athlete. He had only a half year in the minors when the Reds brought him up. It's a strike to Hendricks. He has real stuff, an outstanding fastball, a curve. With maturity and barring injuries, the Reds really have something in this boy. 1-1. In fact, Jim, Wayne Simpson, how old is Simpson? 22, 23?
He's only 22.
What young pitchers the Reds have? Simpson had won 14 games about halfway through the year and then came up with a bad arm. He's not in this series. Fouled away. Nolan's 22. Gullett is 19. And you saw Wilcox today, 20. There are 4 pitchers, 22 years or younger, that the Reds have for the future.
That's right. And another one by the name of Ross Grimsley, whose dad was quite a pitcher, was the top pitcher in the American Association this year.
That's Johnson on deck. 1 out, nobody on. Ball 2, 2-2 to Ellie Hendricks. The Orioles have 6 runs, 10 hits. They've made 2 errors. The Reds have 5 runs, 7 hits, and no errors. Line drive out to Tommy Helm. 2 down. Dave Lenhart and Jim Harden are in that Baltimore bullpen, a pair of right-handers. Dave Johnson has singled him 3 times. A ball. For those that joined us late, the Reds jumped off. 3 runs and 3 hits in the first inning. The Orioles made 2 errors in that inning. Tolan homered in the third. It was 4-0 Cincinnati. 1-1. Powell homered in the fourth for Baltimore to make it 4-1. And the Orioles burst loose in the fifth. 5 runs on 6 hits to go out in front. 6-4. The Reds came back on a home run by Bench in the 6th to make it 6-5. That's the way it stands. 2-1. Two balls and 2 strikes. On deck is Belanger. That was Washburn that you saw get up in the Cincinnati bullpen to start warming up. 3-2. During the regular season, Gullett pitched 77 innings and struck out 76 batters.
Almost 1 per inning.
That's stuff. 3-2 pitch. Just a little low and outside. Johnny Bench thought they had it. So did the manager, Sparky Anderson. 36 years old, the youngest manager in the majors. Where was it? Ball 1 to Belanger. Fouled out, popped up, and grounded out. Dave Johnson at first, 2 down. 6-5 Baltimore, top of the 8th. Down to Perez at third. Makes the play to Helms at second for the force on Johnson. And 19-year-old Don Gullett, in his first Major League World Series experience, gets them out. No runs, no hits. There were no errors, and 1 left. We've gone 7.5 innings. It's Baltimore 6 and Cincinnati 5. See, today will be National Football League action. It'll start at 4 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Boston with Joe Kapp playing today against Kansas City. Baltimore is at Houston, and Denver undefeated playing the Oakland Raiders. NFL football on the NBC television network, starting at 4 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Johnny Bench leads off against Dick Hall in the last of the 8th. Bench flagged a right, walked, and hit a home run to left in the 6th inning, 1 out of 2. A ball to him. They don't quite shift on Bench, but second baseman Dave Johnson plays almost in back of second base for him. 2-0. A big hole in the right side of the infield for Bench. The 2-0 delivery. Foul back. Johnny Bench. Change up, fly ball in the center field. Paul Blair puts it away, and we have 1 down. A good off-speed pitch by Hall.
It looked like he hit a knuckleball out to Blair, Kurt. Paul was a little undecided which way to go for a moment there, and finally decided to come on, and the ball kind of floated out to him.
Lee May doubled in the first. The drive in 2, hit into a double play in the 3rd, flying out to center in the 6th. 1 out of 3. And they're playing him the same they did for Bench. Hit hard to short. Belanger up. Right on target to Boog foul. 2 down. Al McRae, a bunt single for an RBI, a double, and he's grounded out. 2 out of 3. Baltimore leading 6-5, last of the 8th inning. The Baltimore bullpen still busy with the 2 right-handers, Harden. Now they switch. Pete Rickard, a left-hander. And Eddie Watt, a right-hander. The 1-0 delivery. High fly to left. Don Buford there. A quick 1-2-3 inning for Dick Hall. At the end of 8 innings in Cincinnati, the score, Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 5. In the 9th inning, Dick Hall, the Oriole pitcher, will lead off. Then to the top of the order to pick up Don Buford and Paul Blair. This Don Gullett is really a Frank Merriwell. In high school, he averaged 25 points a game in basketball. In one football game, and we couldn't believe this, ball 1. We had the note given to us that he scored 12 touchdowns in one game. Tony Kubek asked him in a post-game interview, if that was true. He said no. He only scored 11, but he kicked 6 extra points. 2-0.
It still adds up to 72 points, Dick.
He wanted to apologize. He only scored 11 touchdowns in one game. The strike, 2-1. Wonder how he is on the violin. Two 2-1 to Dick Hall. 2-2. Well, the Reds, if you're looking ahead of their last of the ninth, have Helm, Caney, and Gullett up. The pop twisting toward the seats. Out of play. Right now, you're seeing a 19-year-old boy on the mound and a 40-year-old batter, Dick Hall. Hall began his professional baseball career when Don Gullett was 2 years old. Struck him out in that high, hard one. One down in the ninth inning. The batter's Buford. He's had 2 hits in 4 times. Wayne Granger, a right-hander relief pitcher, warming up in the Reds bullpen, and a reserve infielder, Dave Concepcion, loosening up. The Orioles are ahead, 6-5 in the ninth inning. Ball one. They won by 1 run yesterday. They're leading by 1 run today, and they set an American League record this past year, winning 40 one-run games and losing just 15. 2-0. The Orioles, they're the members in that bullpen. The Orioles have been hot. They've won 15 games in a row now, winning their last 11 regular season games, 3 in the playoffs, and yesterday in the World Series. A strike. They played it differently this year. Last year, they thought they were too easy going in against the Mets. They had let down. They had clinched it too early and didn't keep driving. This year, they kept driving, even though they'd already clinched the pennant. 3-1 to Buford.
Those shadows are beginning to creep out now, Kurt.
3-2. This kid throws hard, Jim.
Yes, he does.
They had clinched it too early and didn't keep driving. This year, they kept driving, even though they'd already clinched the pennant. 3-1 to Buford.
Those shadows are beginning to creep out now, Kurt.
3-2. This kid throws hard, Jim.
Yes, he does. And out of that sunshine into the shadows, he's doubly fast.
He walked him. Buford's on. Good base runner, Buford. Paul Blair, 2 hits and 4 times. He scored 1 run. He's knocked in 1 run. Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 5, top of the 9th inning. Blair, 2 operations on his cheekbone this year after being hit in the face by a pitch ball. Strike. Buford at first, 1 down. Foul coming back out of play. Strike 2 to Paul Blair. John Powell on deck. He blocks out the picture. And he shoots from behind. Two-strike pitch to Blair. A ball, 1-2. Fly ball to right fielder Rose. Buford's playing it halfway. 2 down. Boog Powell has walked, hit a home run. Single in, another run, wrapped into a double play. 2 out of 3. You ever notice how most big men are gentle? Powell is one of the nicest, gentlest men you'll ever want to be around. What if he was mean with that frame? A ball to him. They're very proud of him down in Key West, Florida, where he played high school football and baseball. And since the Orioles train in the Miami area, the Orioles have a big following in the state of Florida. Crowd always likes to see a big man miss one.
And a kid pitcher succeed.
2 out, Buford at first. 1-1 to Powell. 6-5, Baltimore in the top of the 9th. Foul back. 1-2 to Powell. 3-2 with 2 down. Buford will be going. Imagine next year, Jim, we'll see Phillips in a regular starting rotation.
That's in the works, Kurt. The Reds have plans for him to pitch winter ball for pitching coach Larry Shepard.
There goes the runner. Ball 4. And the young left-hander, a lot of them erratic, has walked 2 this inning. He walked Johnson in the 8th. Frank Robinson has struck out, grounded out, fly to deep right, grounded out to first. He is now 0 for 8 in these first 2 games. Runners on first and second, 2 away. That's Buford, the lead runner at second. Fouls at first. High foul. Bench coming back. Out of play. Somebody made quite a catch in the stand. Nothing on 1 to Frank Robinson. Roy Campanella used to have a good expression for a fastball. The express train. 2 strikes to Frank Robinson. Took him out. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 2 men left. At the end of 8.5 innings, it's Baltimore 6, Cincinnati.
Now on DVD.
Let's take a look at some later National Football League scores. In the 3rd period, the Pittsburgh Steelers 13, Buffalo Bills 10. The Redskins, upsetting the Lions today, are leading 24-3 at the end of the 3rd period. In the 4th quarter, the Cleveland Browns 23, Cincinnati Bengals 20. Into the 3rd period, New York Giants 23, Philadelphia Eagles 16, Vikings 14, Bears nothing at the half, Dallas 3, Atlanta nothing at the half. New Orleans and St. Louis tied 7-all in the 2nd period. Tommy Helms hit into a force play, grounded out and flied out. Strike 1 to him. Sparky Anderson intently watching the last of the 9th, see if his club can tie it or win it. Eddie Watt and Pete Rickard, a right-hander and left-hander, warming up for Baltimore. A ball, 1-1. Hall has faced 4 batters. He's retired all 4 since he came on. Watt on your left, Rickard on your right. Fouls are back. Chaney on deck. And Granger in the Cincinnati bullpen. The Reds are 1 run down in the last of the 9th inning. Bounding ball up the middle. Belanger going for it, and he's got him. Belanger has outstanding range at that shortstop spot. In fact, the Orioles have a great defensive infield. Robinson, Belanger, and Johnson around the bag. And Powell steady at first. They have now switched to Bernie Carbo. Bernie Carbo had a big year with a bat as a rookie this season. Is coming out to hit for Chaney. The Orioles 2 outs away from going home to Baltimore with a 2-game lead in this 1970 World Series. Oriole bench quiet right now. If they win it, it'll be a different picture.
Manager Earl Weaver, Kirk, went down the steps toward the runway.
The strike to Carbo. Jim Stewart is out on deck to bat for Gullett. One and one. Our thanks to Alan Roth, our statistician, and to Huey McDermott, our stage manager here in the NBC booth. Let up pitch. Softly down to Boog Powell. 2 down. Dick Hall looks like he'd like to get a bat and run out of the stands and hit against him. But he never puts that ball down the middle. He's on the corners. He changes speed. 2 away. And a 40-year-old mathematician, he's a math whiz, is now facing Jim Stewart. Right. Jimmy Stewart was a Reds' leading pinch hitter with an average of .317 coming off the bench this last season. 2 down, nobody on. Foul is strike 2. Hall has faced 6 men and sent them all back. A 2-strike pitch, fouled away. If this game winds up the way it is right now, the pitcher's a record. The winner would be Phoebus and the loser Wilcox. 2-strike delivery. Just a little high, and the Orioles started off the field. Robinson at third had crossed the foul line going toward the dugout. He thought it was strike 3. 1 ball, 2 strikes. There's a long drive in the deep center. Blair back, and that one is caught by Paul Blair going away. Paul Blair, there's no better in center field in the major leagues today. Play shallow.
Here's a good look at Blair on the warning track and in the glove. And the Orioles have won game 2.
Dave McNally, who pitched Tuesday, out congratulating Hall. Ellie Hendricks, the catcher. Earl Weaver, number 4. A happy band of Orioles. So the final score. The Baltimore Orioles, 6 runs, 10 hits, and 2 errors. The Cincinnati Reds, 5 runs, 7 hits, and no errors.